Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. I welcome all the audience from different parts of the world to IMI Women's Wing Health and Wellness webinar. This webinar is being brought to you in collaboration with the IMI Women's Wing, Sitapur Social Welfare Society, and Stufid from the South Asia region of the world. My name is Varda Batul, and I would like to introduce our moderator for today's webinar. Uh, but before doing that, I will begin with the holy verses. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. Translation: In the name of Allah, the Merciful, the Compassionate. Say, He's Allah, the One and Unique. Allah, who is in need of none, and of whom all are in need. He neither begot any, nor was he begotten, and none is comparable to him. Sadaqallahul Aliyyul Azim. So I would like to now introduce our moderator for today's program, that is Dr. Shua Naqvi. Dr. Naqvi did her initial studies in India at OLF and AMU, followed by a scholarship for her PhD in Europe. She received her PhD in biotechnology at the University of Münster in Germany, after which she joined the German pharma industry, focusing primarily on oncology in medical affairs. Currently, she is appointed as Senior Medical Affairs Manager at a Japanese firm, Astellas Pharma, in Munich. I welcome you, Dr. Shua Naqvi, and I'm very grateful that you've joined us today. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Verda Batul, and it's my pleasure to be conducting this session today with all of you. And a very good day to all of you today from my end, from my part of the world, which is Munich in Germany. And it's going to be an interesting talk today because we have a very relevant topic to cover, ladies and gentlemen. And it is titled Stress and its Effect on Human Body. And we're all quite aware that with the advent of technology, with our hectic lifestyles, and the pressures that we have on our daily lives, we all really need to tackle stress quite diligently. So that it doesn't wreak havoc on our lives and on our families, because stress has this tendency that we don't manage it well ourselves. It kind of seeps on to our surroundings and the people who we care about. So it's important to understand it, to be able to tackle it, and to throw more light on stress today, what it means scientifically and biochemically, how it affects us all, and how we can protect ourselves from stressful situations. We today have a very distinguished scientist and professor among us. We have Professor Dr. Nahid Bano. Before she dives into the lecture on stress, I'd like to introduce Professor Banu briefly to all of you. So, Professor Nahid Bano, she studied at a very acclaimed Banaras Hindu University in India up until her PhD, which she did in the subject of biochemistry. She then joined another acclaimed Indian university. Many of us might know the Aligarh Muslim University, from where I also studied for some time. After that, Professor Banu, she supervised around 20 PhD students, one MPhil, I think about 4 MDs, and 2 MS students. She has published more than 100 papers in reputed national and international journals. And she's a noted scientist and professor. She has chaired many scientific sessions, has been an invited speaker in a lot of congresses, and has attended, chaired, co-chaired around 80 national and international congresses in India and all over the world. She was also the director of the Center for Promotion of Science at AMU, and also the manager of ANPS School at AMU. Add to that, she also has a lot of international experience because she was scientific associate or research associate at the University of Paris in France. She also was a visiting research scientist at the University of Munich in Germany, and she was invited guest professor for almost 10 years at Qasim University in KSA. So, without further ado, I will now invite Professor Dr. Nahid Banu to present us all the topic of stress and its effect on the human body. And please note for the audience who is with us today that we will definitely be taking questions from you. And I'm sure you must have a lot of questions on the topic. And these questions you can put up on the YouTube comment section. Sorry, I wasn't speaking in German. Not the commentar section, but the comment section under YouTube. So you can post all your comments, your questions, and we'll be taking them up after the call or after the session is over. So thank you so much. That was all about the introductions, and I'll hand it over now to Professor Banu for conducting the lecture, and we'll share the slides right away. Thank you.
I'll request to unmute and if you can please turn on the video. Thank you.
Yeah. So, Assalamu alaikum, everybody.
Assalamualaikum.
So, now I want all my listeners to listen about stress and its effect on the human body, but without undergoing any stress. So, relax and know about stress, what it is, and how it impacts our body. So, first and foremost, we should like to know that what is stress? In fact, stress hota kya hai? So, as per Selye, who is a great scientist and who worked on stress a lot, we call him father of stress. He was Hans Selye, and he defined that it is any situation which could be physical, physiological, or psychological, which disturbs any balance in the body and thereby induces a general adaptive response designed to restore the initial level of stability. In fact, our body always remains in a dynamic state, and we have to have it in a homeostatic state. But this homeostatic state is disrupted by stress. Stress means any situation which is going to affect our system not only psychologically, physiologically, and physically as well. So, in fact, if you see the life, stress is life and life is stress. Because every day we have to undergo some sort of stress. Either it could be small or it could be big. So, which stress causes a lot of problem? The main problem is either it is very harsh, short in duration but very harsh, or if the stress continues for a longer period of time. So, physical signs of stress, if you look at it, so there could be difficulty in breathing, panic attacks, blurred eyesight or sore eyes, sleep problems, fatigue, muscle aches, and headaches, pain, chest pain, high blood pressure, indigestion, or heartburn. But these symptoms, which I have already narrated here, they are different in different persons. That means the perception of stress could be different in different persons. So you can see that it affects the whole body, which causing muscle tension, headache, clenched jaws, high blood pressure. There could be effect on the stomach, digestive issues, palpitation, brain fog and fatigue, dry mouth, and skin rashes. Even many a times the skin diseases are also because of stress. So, stress normally, what it is? It is the disruption of the normal homeostasis. The body is always in a homeostatic state. That is, the body tries to avoid any disruption in its normal metabolism or normal health. Now, during this exposure of this stress stimuli, the body responds physiologically by increased activity of both the hypothalamic pituitary adrenocortical axis, HPA. So, a little bits of science for those who already know about it. I will not, but a little bit of. So, sympathoadrenal medullary system. So the stress, in fact, triggers in the body fight or flight response. Fight, that means if the body is very strong, it can fight off the stress which is put on it, or it can flight. That means if the body is not able to fight the stress, what happens then? If the body cannot fight, this stress is going to result into various disorders. And the disorders which can affect negatively on our mood, immune system, digestive system, and cardiovascular health system. That means it is having a systemic effect. Now, the situation or thought which feel frustrated, angry, nervous, or anxious. That means there is a threat to the body. So any threat, either it is real or perceived. Sometimes what happens, there is no stress. लेकिन तब भी लग रहा है कि नहीं, we are having some tension at the back of the mind. So stress also gives rise to a number of characteristics, behavioral responses. Now, the chronic stress causes a variety of symptoms and affects the overall well being by causing irritability, anxiety, depression, headache, and insomnia. That means the person cannot sleep in the night, restlessness, tension. Okay, so that means the whole of the body is affected, and the tension can be felt in the muscles, in the back, and everywhere. So central nervous system, and then the systems of the body which are affected, you can see nearly all. That is central nervous system, endocrine system, which gives a fight or flight response, or hypothalamo pituitary adrenocortical axis is excited, and which gives rise to synthesis of various hormones. These hormones, they affect on various organs of the body, causing a disruption in their functioning. The respiratory and cardiovascular system, which is seen in the form of increased blood pressure, rapid breathing, digestive system, that is increased glucose level, because the liver starts functioning to combat this stress and seeing that the body needs some energy. So energy comes from glucose. So what will happen? The liver will increase glucose output will be increased, which may ultimately cause type 2 diabetes. And if the digestive system is affected, it may end up in duodenal ulcer, peptic ulcer, irritable bowel syndrome, colitis, etc. Now, the muscles, as I said, there could be tightening of muscles, which can cause headache, back, shoulder pain, and body aches. Sexuality and reproductive system, that is also affected. So, like the testosterone levels in the men, they will drop. The female's menstrual cycle is affected, and there could be some early menopausal problems before age. Then immune system, and initially stress enhances the immune system to fight off any other response, but later when there is a lot of synthesis of cortisol, the immune system is compromised, and if it is compromised, naturally infections are going to happen. So chronic stress may be involved in susceptibility to viral illnesses like flu, common cold, and some other infections, or it can be, and there can be a delayed, you can say, treatment of the infections or increased healing time. So if you look at it, the whole of the body from the top up to the knees and muscles are affected. So I will not very deeply go into that, which we have already talked about it, that how it affects high blood pressure, non-sleep, erectile dysfunctions. So if you look at this, a little bit of biochemistry regarding that, as I said, hypothalamo-pituitary adrenocortical axis. So stress enhances the hypothalamus, which synthesizes the hormones, corticotropin releasing hormone, pituitary gland, ACTH, adrenocorticotropin hormone, and adrenals. Both adrenal cortex and adrenal medulla are affected. They synthesize glucocorticoids and catecholamines, which are having further effect on the uh, system. Like catecholamines, they are synthesize epinephrine and norepinephrine, which can cause vasoconstriction of the vessels, causing high blood pressure. Not only that, sometimes people have seen that when you go to give an interview देते हुए अक्सर लोगों के गाल लाल हो जाते हैं। वो क्यों होते हैं? क्योंकि उसमें स्ट्रेस की वजह से हमारी नर्व्स कभी-कभी वेसल्स जो हैं थिन हो जाती हैं और उसमें ब्लड फ्लो बढ़ जाता है, जिसकी वजह से दिखने लगता है चेहरे के ऊपर। अच्छा, ये नहीं है कि ये सिर्फ़ आपके हॉर्मोन्स और बाकी चीज़ों को इफ़ेक्ट कर रहा है स्ट्रेस, और ये इफ़ेक्ट करता है ऑक्सीडेटिव मार्कर्स को भी। आजकल आप कोई भी बीमारी देखिए, वो हमेशा रिलेट की जाती है फ्री रेडिकल्स से। हमारी बॉडी के अंदर नॉर्मली फ्री रेडिकल्स बनते हैं, लेकिन उन फ्री रेडिकल्स को कॉम्बैट करने के लिए भी हमारे पास एंटीऑक्सीडेटिव सिस्टम है। लेकिन जब स्ट्रेस बहुत ज़्यादा हो जाता है, तो ये जो ऑक्सीडेटिव स्ट्रेस बढ़ जाता है और जो एंडोजिनस हमारे पास एंटीऑक्सीडेंट सिस्टम है, वो उसकी एक्टिविटी कम हो जाती है, जिसकी वजह से फ्री रेडिकल प्रोडक्शन बढ़ जाता है। और जब फ्री रेडिकल प्रोडक्शन बढ़ता है, तो वो सारे कार्बोहाइड्रेट, प्रोटीन, लिपिड इन सबको इफ़ेक्ट करता है और इनकी फंक्शनिंग को disrupt करता है। So that means stress is not only causing the increase in the hormones or neuroendocrine hormones, but it is also, and immunology, it is also causing having an effect on the oxidative stress. Now, if you look thoda sa neurobiology and its consequences, if you look at this, the CRF, corticotropin releasing factor, goes to pituitary, adrenocorticotropic hormones, adrenals, both medulla and cortex, and especially synthesizes catecholamines, norepinephrine and epinephrine. That is a system which affects the whole thing. Now, the hypothalamus synthesizes the corticotropin releasing factor, which is released in response to various stressors. Now, overactivation, in fact, produces the psychopathology of anxiety disorder, depression, even damage to the body organs in chronic severe cases, like psychosomatic diseases. So, most of the psychosomatic patients have been found to have an increased level of catecholamines, 5-hydroxytryptamine, and disruption of the hormones, and not only that hormones, they're metabolizing enzymes also. सो बिकॉज एक मैंने स्टडी की थी और मैंने कंपेयर किया था कैंसर पेशेंट्स के अंदर इन्हीं कैटेकोलामीन के लेवल को, और यही को हमने देखा था साइकोलॉजिकल पेशेंट्स के पास। तो मैंने देखा कि इन दोनों ही में ये लेवल कैटेकोलामीन्स के और सबके बढ़े हुए थे, कॉर्टिसोल के, ग्लूकोकॉर्टिकॉइड्स के। सो दैट मीन्स देयर इज समथिंग which is causing the disruption of the normal homeostasis. Now, अगर हम ये देखेंगे what are the types of stress and the systemic and physiologic, it is real threat to the well-being or physical characteristics of the stimulus itself places immediate responsive demands on the organism. So it depends upon perception. Quality of the stressful stimulus depends upon the interpretation. ये कहते हैं कि सबका स्ट्रेस लेने का तरीका अलग होता है. Some people cannot even bear a small stress, and some people can cope even with the bigger stress. So that depends on the stimulus. That is, either it is heavy or it is light but longer in duration. So both the duration and the type of stress and its intensity are going to have a bad effect on the body. Now, the conscious awareness of the stimulus is not required by the organism, and that is something very tricky. That means sometimes even you are not consciously aware that you are under stress, but still you are. But the consequences of this stress is clearly seen on the body. So the severity of the stressor and its physiological impact can vary amongst individuals, as I said. Everybody has got a different type of perception of the stress. So it could cause injury with the loss of blood or threat posed by some kind of loss. And sometimes, of course, death of the near and dear ones and all those things, they're causing a very heavy effect and causing the stress. So the stress response fails when the stressor is experienced chronically. But that means if the same stress is repeated again and again, the body somehow adapts to that situation. That means the response of stress is decreased then. But the negative impact of prolonged stress is the onset of a spectrum of emotional and somatic diseases. So somatic diseases could be, you can see the stress on the body can cause atherosclerosis. You'll be surprised. Mostly it is linked to other things. Then eating disorders, migraines, hives, acne, acid reflux diseases, which is causing duodenal ulcer, hypertension, sleep deprivation. Sleep deprivation is a very, very bad thing because when a person cannot sleep properly, next day it is so difficult to do any of his normal jobs. Chronic fatigue, and always the person feels tired. He doesn't feel like doing anything. He just want to sit back and relax, or not relax because he's already in tension, so he cannot relax, of course. And depression is very bad. Overall it's having a very negative impact. Diarrhea or constipation, that means if the digestive system is involved, it results in diarrhea, either diarrhea or constipation. You might have been seen in some people, like if there is any threat to the organism, or if there is any threat outside, then sometimes the people cannot control and they have to go to use the washroom again and again. But sometimes it results into constipation. So you can see stress overall, it affects the whole of the body of the organisms. Now, numerous studies have increasingly suggest that unhealthy lifestyle factors are involved in an unbalanced antioxidative homeostasis, leading to an oxidant stress that may increase the incidence of the disease. So, as I said, free radicals are involved in causation of various disorders. Now, psychological stress is supposed to be one of the major ailments that undermine individuals in their professional and private life. Cognitive dysfunction is a hallmark of chronic stress in the human. Long-term exposure to psychological stresses may enhance the risk of many diseases. Now, as I already talked about the antioxidant and oxidative stress, so free radicals and the imbalance on the oxidative process plays a very important role in the mechanism of stress. Like if the antioxidant which is present in our body is equal to the reactive oxygen species which are produced by the body, and it can combat the ROS, that is reactive oxygen species, then there is no problem. But sometimes what happens, this balance is hampered. So the antioxidants, the fighting of the antioxidative mechanism is excess, but the ROS, reactive oxygen species, is less. Okay, fine. But when there is a depleted antioxidant, there's a depleted and ROS antioxidants are increased, then it is going to cause a lot of. So psychological stress could induce oxidative damage by impairing the overall antioxidant system. So you can see even physical, physiological, or psychological, anything can affect the body in the form of stress. So in general, if you look at this, the recurring stress can cause anxiety, mood disorders. Risk factors can be cancers, cardiovascular diseases, and which ultimately results into the increased morbidity. Now, it has been seen, if somebody comes to know that he's suffering from cancer, itself, it's such a big shock. The person goes immediately into stress. अरे क्या हो गया, कैंसर, ओ अब तो कुछ नहीं हो सकता. तो वो स्ट्रेस जो है वो और इस कैंसर की डिजीज को बढ़ा देता है. और बहुत से रिसर्च स्टडीज ने पाया है कि कैंसर पेशेंट्स का ट्रीटमेंट का इफेक्ट भी बहुत कम हो जाता है जब उनको बहुत ज्यादा स्ट्रेस होता है, स्ट्रेस ऑफ द डिजीज इटसेल्फ. एंड कार्डियोवैस्कुलर डिजीजेस तो एकदम पूरी पर तय हो चुकी हैं कि हाँ स्ट्रेस की वजह से होती है, क्योंकि हार्ट रेट का बढ़ना, ब्लड प्रेशर का होना, तो ये सारी चीज़ें जो है बहुत ज़्यादा लॉन्ग टर्म पे हार्ट अटैक भी हो सकता है और इशीमिया भी कॉज हो सकता है. सो मेनली होता क्या है कि इनएबिलिटी टू एडजस्ट टू साइकोलॉजिकल चैलेंजेस में ट्रिगर दी साइकाइट्रिक सिम्टम्स. तो आप कोप नहीं कर सकते हैं, मुश्किल हो जाती है, तो फिर वो बहुत ज़्यादा दिमाग के लिए परेशानियों का बायस बनती है. और यही नहीं है, उसमें आदमी की याददाश्त चली जाती है. किसी काम के लिए वो जा रहा है कमरे में, अक्सर लोगों के साथ होता है जब स्ट्रेस में होते हैं, आप दूसरे कमरे में जाते हैं किसी काम के लिए और भूल जाते हैं हम आए क्यों थे यहाँ पे. तो ये सारा स्ट्रेस की वजह से आपकी सिंपल क्लियर थिंकिंग भी अफेक्ट करती है. सो डिप्रेशन होता है विच इज़ अ मेजर इफेक्ट फॉर साइकोलॉजिकल और साइको सोशल स्ट्रेस. इवन साइको सोशल स्ट्रेस ऑल्सो प्लेज अ वेरी बिग रोल, क्योंकि हम लोग सब मैन इज अ सोशल एनिमल. सो अगर सोसाइटी में भी कुछ होता है और कोई कुछ कह देता है तो हमारे पर कितना ज़्यादा इफेक्ट होता है. सोचते रहते हैं उसके बारे में, ऐसा क्यों हुआ क्यों हुआ. तो ये सारी चीज़ें जो हैं बहुत ज़्यादा इफेक्ट करती हैं हमारी बॉडी को. तो उनका कैरेक्टराइज कैसे करते हैं कि डिप्रेस मूड, लॉस ऑफ इंटरेस्ट, स्लीप, वेट डिस्टर्बेंसेस, निगेटिव थिंकिंग, आदमी बिल्कुल निगेटिव थॉट्स में चला जाता है. सुसाइडलिटी यानी इवन यहाँ तक बढ़ जाता है अगर कभी कभी तो वो सुसाइडल टेंडेंसी भी डेवलप होने लगती है. अनक्लियर पैथोजेनेसिस, लेकिन इन सब चीज़ों के लिए क्या चीज़ है इनबॉर्न, अंदर क्या है उसको डायग्नोस करना बड़ा मुश्किल होता है. तो बहुत सी चीज़ें ऐसी होती हैं जिसको कि आप डायरेक्ट कॉज एंड इफेक्ट का सिम्टम को जोड़ नहीं सकते हैं, लेकिन वो होता है एट द बैक ऑफ द माइंड. तो हमने एक एक्सपेरिमेंट जो किए, एक्सपेरिमेंट्स किए, तो उसमें हमने ये देखा कि लेबोरेटरी एनिमल में अगर रीस्ट्रेंट स्ट्रेस दिया जाए, यानी उनको आप बिल्कुल मूवमेंट उनका बंद कर दें, तो ये स्ट्रेस जो है दोनों फिजिकल भी है और साइकोलॉजिकल भी है, क्योंकि आदमी की मोबिलिटी बंद हो गई. तो अब इसी से अंदाजा कर लें कि अगर किसी को जेल में बंद कर दिया जाए तो कितना स्ट्रेस होता है. और उस पर काफ़ी स्टडीज हुई हैं कि उसको कन्फाइन कर दिया गया है, जेल में बंद कर दिया है, ही कैनॉट मूव, he cannot have a free access to anything. तो ये वाला रिस्ट्रेंट स्ट्रेस देके हम लोगों ने काफ़ी स्टडी की है और देखा है कि वो डिप्रेशन भी कॉज करता है और बिहेवियर चेंज कर देता है वो रैट्स का. तो ये मेरा असल में थीसिस पे काफ़ी काम था जो मैंने रैट्स पे किया, और उनमें रिस्ट्रेंट स्ट्रेस से और क्रॉनिक अनप्रिडिक्टेबल स्ट्रेस, यानी कभी कभी ज़िंदगी में इंसान के होता है ना कि आपको पता नहीं है अगले दिन कौन सा स्ट्रेस आ जाए, क्या हो सकता है, कुछ भी कभी भी हो सकता है. तो अगर इस तरह से करा है कि उनको अलग अलग तरह का स्ट्रेस देके और इन सब चीज़ों को दे के भी ये देखा कि उन चूहों में भी काफ़ी साइकोलॉजिकल चेंजेस आ जाते हैं. और सबसे बड़ी चीज़ उनमें होती है कि वो जो इनमें चेंजेस आते हैं स्ट्रेस की वजह से, न्यूरो ह्यूमरल चेंजेस आते हैं, ऑक्सीडेटिव स्ट्रेस होता है, और जिसको अगर नहीं प्रोटेक्ट किया जाए तो फिर रेजिस्टेंस डेवलप हो जाता है. और फिर कभी कभी अगर कम स्ट्रेस है तो वो होम्योस्टेसिस की तरफ वापस लौट जाते हैं, और नहीं तो फिर वो न किसी डिजीज की तरफ जाते हैं. तो साइकोलॉजिकल स्ट्रेस आप देखें तो जैसे मैंने कहा है कि एच पी एक्सेस है दैट कॉजेज द रिलीज ऑफ एड्रिनल हॉर्मोन्स and which affects the stressful response designed to promote the adaptation and restores the homeostasis. तो पहला थोड़ा सा जो स्ट्रेस होता है उसमें बॉडी जब फाइट करती है तो ये हार्मोन सिंथेसाइज होते हैं और कोशिश करते हैं कि हम बॉडी को वापस अपने नॉर्मल स्टेट में ले जाएं, यानी होमोस्टेसिस की तरफ जाएं. लेकिन जब ये चीज़ स्ट्रेस रिस्पॉन्स फेल कर जाता है एंड द स्ट्रेसर एक्सपीरियंस इज क्रॉनिकली, तब क्या होता है कि रिकरिंग स्ट्रेस लीड्स टू एंग्जाइटी एंड मूड डिसऑर्डर्स. सो परसिस्टेंट स्ट्रेस इज एन independent risk factor for cardiovascular diseases and cancer, as I said. तो जिससे क्या होता है कि मॉर्बिडिटी भी इंक्रीज होता है और सीवियर क्लिनिकल सिंड्रोम्स डेवलप हो जाते हैं. बट ये देखा गया है कि जब आपने रोडेंट्स को बार बार उन्हीं स्ट्रेस से गुजारा तो उनमें कहीं ना कहीं उसमें समझ आ जाती है और प्रेडिक्ट कर देते हैं कि अब ये स्ट्रेस हमारे ऊपर आने वाला है, तो थोड़ी सी अडेप्टेबिलिटी डेवलप हो जाती है. बट ये चीज़ नहीं होती है उनको जब अनप्रिडिक्टेबल स्ट्रेस दिया जाता है, यानी उनको कभी आपने ठंड में रख दिया, कभी उनको केज में बंद कर दिया, और कभी उनको उल्टा लटका दिया, या अलग अलग तरह के स्ट्रेस दिए, तो फिर उनमें अडेप्टेबिलिटी नहीं होती है. सो ये इस तरह से ये क्लासिक स्ट्रेस का मॉडल है जिसके ऊपर काफ़ी करा गया है काम, और हमारे लैब में भी ये बहुत काम हुआ है, विच इज़ क्रॉनिक अनप्रिडिक्टेबल माइल्ड स्ट्रेस. सीवियर स्ट्रेस नहीं, माइल्ड स्ट्रेस देते हैं. सो ये एक छोटा सा मैंने वही दिखाने की कोशिश की है कि कैसे जो है इंक्रीज इन एंग्जाइटी एंड बिहेवियरल चेंजेस आते हैं, डिक्रीज इन द लोकोमोटर एक्टिविटी, और ये थोड़ा सा बायोकेमिस्ट्री है उसकी which I would like to avoid for those who are not interested. So stress and its metabolic consequences, as I said, कि जो हाइपोथैलेमस से सीआरएस से जो रिलीज करते हैं वो गोनाडोट्रोपिन रिलीजिंग हार्मोन को इनहिबिट करते हैं. So somatostatin is also inhibits growth hormone, thyrotropin releasing hormones, and thyrotropin releasing hormones, which suppresses reproduction, growth, and thyroid function. And on thyroid function से हमारा काफ़ी मेटाबॉलिज्म इफेक्ट होता है. क्योंकि जितना बेसल मेटाबॉलिक इंडेक्स से हमारा वो जो है थायराइड फंक्शन से हाइपरथायरॉयडिज्म या हाइपोथायरॉयडिज्म से इफेक्ट होता है, और रिप्रोडक्शन एंड ग्रोथ ऑफ कोर्स इनहिबिट होती है. So chronic stress system activation increases visceral adiposity, and visceral adiposity means वो तो बहुत ही मुश्किल वो चीज़ होती है जो कि बीपी वगैरह सबको कॉज करती है. Decreases lean body weight, muscle and bone mass, suppresses the osteoblastic activity, causes osteoporosis, and especially in the menopausal woman or after certain age. तो वैसे भी कैल्शियम की डेफिशिएंसी और की वजह से और विटामिन डी की डेफिशिएंसी से होता है, और स्ट्रेस ऑन टॉप ऑफ इट कॉजेज द सप्रेशन ऑफ द ऑस्टियोब्लास्टिक एक्टिविटी, यानी बोन फॉर्मेशन में बोन डिफॉर्मेशन शुरू हो जाता है, क्योंकि बॉडी को हमेशा एक कैल्शियम की कॉन्सेंट्रेशन मेंटेन करनी होती है, और ना एक बनेगा और बॉडी डिफॉर्म अलग होगी. सो ऐसा है कि हार्मोन्स जो हैं बहुत ही ज़रूरी होते हैं, लाइक स्पेशली द ग्लूकोकोर्टिकॉइड हार्मोन्स which inhibit the pituitary gonadotropin, growth hormone, thyrotropin, and makes the target tissues, like especially the sex steroids, both in the males and the females. So inhibits the osteoblastic activity. Stress causes hypocortisolism. Hypocortisolism, in this cortisol levels are increased, and cortisol level जब बढ़ता है तो वो immune system को decrease करता है और कार्डियोवैस्कुलर सिस्टम को प्रॉब्लम करता है, और ये सारी चीज़ें बढ़ा देती हैं मोर्टेलिटी रिस्क, विच इज़ अफेक्टेड बाई टू द सब्जेक्ट्स बाई 2-3 फोल्ड. मोर्टेलिटी बढ़ जाती है एंड उनकी लाइफ एक्सपेक्टेंसी भी बहुत कम हो जाती है. तो अगर स्ट्रेस काफ़ी दिन तक चला तो यही नहीं है. और उसके अलावा स्ट्रेस जो है इट अफेक्ट्स इम्यूनोलॉजिकल चेंजेस ऑल्सो. सो इम्पेयर्ड इम्यून फंक्शन एंड इंक्रीज ससेप्टिबिलिटी टू इन्फेक्शियस डिजीजेस. कोप नहीं कर सकता, थोड़ा सा भी इन्फेक्शन होगा तो वो सकम कर जाएगा. सो द नर्वस, एंडोक्राइन एंड इम्यून सिस्टम्स, they are very intimately connected, and in fact they should be regarded as a single network rather than as three separate systems. They work hand in hand. If one is affected, the other two are also affected. So psychological stress and psychiatric illnesses can compromise immune function. Soluble mediators released by immune cells can affect the central nervous system, producing the alterations in the behavior. So that means the immune system can also affect your central nervous system or the endocrine system as well. So stress is also related to the memory loss, causes anxiety. So prolonged stress induces cognitive dysfunction in psychiatric patients, which leads to the loss of synaptic connectivity and the perhaps neuronal network in the limbic brain region, including the hippocampus and the cortex. This further leads to the loss of cholinergic neurons and results in the state of dementia. So you can see that ultimately dementia can also be related to stress. So anxiety, depression, infertility, and especially the post-traumatic stress disorders, PTSD, through enhanced noradrenergic or HPA axis activity. So you can see that so much of stress is going on in this world nowadays. You can see we are all affected by the things which are happening back in so many countries, and especially Palestine. So that also causes an stress to everybody, it causes a stress because we are human beings and we are affected by seeing the pathetic situation of other human beings. Now, the stimulus which causes the arousal of various parameters are inside the brains, like gastric ulceration. So novelty, uncertainty, hunger and thirst, they cause an arousal, physiological variables and behavior variables, frustration, conflict, and fear, the psychological stress, which can cause anxiety disorders, affective disorders, pain, heat, cold, and toxins. These are all physical stress. So the physical stress can cause adrenal hyperactivity, gastric ulceration, and lymphatic atrophy. So these are the stressors, and these are the medical pathology which are related to all these type of different stresses. So this again is the same thing, but giving you a little more elaborate, you can say, explanation that how physical, biological, psychological, and other stresses can affect the different organs like hypothalamus, pituitary. First is the cerebral cortex, and then comes down to this, and ultimately emotions, which are going to affect the autonomic nervous system, both sympathetic and parasympathetic, that is adrenergic and cholinergic. Sensory nerves are affected, it's going to cause skin ulcerations, psoriasis, and so many other skin diseases. They are also caused due to the stress. The neuropeptide P, other chemical mediators, and they are having major effect on the also. No, adrenergic heart rate, respiration, sweating, BP, digestion, intestinal movement. Because of the intestinal movements, one can have diarrhea or constipation, then bronchial spasm, breathing problems, emotional changes, body metabolism, and other changes. So both the adrenergic and cholinergic neurons, they affect all these. Now, adrenal glands, they synthesize alpha and beta through the alpha and beta receptors. They cause the thymus gland effect, causing the T cells, the thymus cells, reduce immune status. Weak organs are affected a lot. So thymus gland. So you can see that how the adrenals, that means how the hormones are going to affect the immune cells. So that's why I said all these three systems, they are interrelated and you cannot separate them. Now, if you look at the depression, the facts and figures, most prevalent clinical conditions are worldwide, which are not very well defined and neither they are addressed. Now, more so after COVID 19, because COVID 19 had a very bad impact on us and we have gone through. So by 2020, it is said that the depression could be the second most significant contributor to the global health impairment. They're grossly underdiagnosed and untreated, especially in our country, especially in India. Nobody thinks that depression or psychological problems are any problems. So biological changes are complex and are not fully understood. Older theories, they said that neurotransmission is causally implicated, but no definite proof is still available. The current hypothesis says the psychological stress activates the same hypothalamo pituitary adrenocortical axis. Chronic exposure increases reactive oxygen species formation, causing the oxidative stress. And oxidative stress, these are free radicals which are going to impact. Now, if you can see, there are at least two sides of the neurotransmitter theory. Serotonin, that is 5-hydroxytryptamine, which is having a good effect also and a bad effect, and norepinephrine. These are it may cause sex and appetite and aggression behavior, and concentration affects the concentration, the interest in your work, and motivation. And these are the things which are interrelated by caused by both 5-HT and norepinephrine. That is depressed mood, anxiety, vague aches like pains, irritability, and thought presses. So, in fact, in our experiment, which we did in our lab, and we gave the rodents or the rats some stress, we found that the rats kept themselves away from pleasurable activity. That means anhedonia was caused. So loss of interest in the normal pleasurable activities. How we did in this is the core symptom in the human being, and this is the core symptom of depression. So how we found in the animals, because we gave them two bottles, in one there was sucrose, in another bottle it was a simple water. So they like to drink sucrose water, but when they were under depression and under stress, they did not like to drink this sucrose water. So that caused an uncontrollable stress. So this was how it was identified they are undergoing stress situation. Now, if you see, the stress can also cause cancer and role of ROS, relative or reactive oxygen species. So, because all of us we carry the oncological genes, but the only thing is that some people they succumb to the disease and some are not. So that again depends on how you cope with the stress. So, exposure to stress situation can stimulate numerous pathways leading to the production of free radicals, and it also impairs the antioxidant defense system, which we have inside our body, causing the oxidative damage, changing the balance between oxidant and antioxidant behavior. So, free radicals, which are produced due to stress or increase in the production, they can cause the impairment of, you can see, nearly all the organs: eyes, heart, skin, kidney, joints, lung, brain, immune system, blood vessels, and multi organs, as you can see. So, Okay, so I'm not going into the details of that. This slide is itself showing. So nutritional factors, they can combat stress, and especially we have seen in our lab that if you supply multi-minerals to the body, okay, then it's going to cause or suppresses. So this can be suppressed. I'm not going to do this side slide because it is the combating the stress through the herbal management. That means there are sub herbs available which can combat the stress and therapeutic effect. So tricyclic antidepressants and non-pharmacological approaches, exercising, relaxation technique, laughter. That means how you are going to cope with the stress. So that means these are the points which you can think in your life to combat. So motivational techniques, activation, and religiousness. We all, are highly religious, so we know that religion can give you, can have an impact on your stress situation. So the activities which can reduce the anxiety are yoga, journaling, baking, morning mantras, and warm bath, Epsom with an Epsom salt. Now, you have to be active. You have to take control of the situation, connect with the people, have some me time, then challenge yourself, learning a new language, can have building a confidence and everything. So help other people, work smarter, not harder. Try to be positive. Always positive is going to help you. So it's not stress that kills us, it is our reaction to it. This is what we have to understand, that how you perceive reaction. So my thanks to all these people. I'm going to acknowledge them, like especially the Imamia Medics International Women's Wing, South Asia chapter, TUPIT and SSWs, and then Dr. Humayakwi, the global chair of IMI Wing, Women's Wing, and Mrs. Malika Jafri, chair of the South Asia chapter, Dr. Varda Batul, who is coordinator for this presentation, and Dr. Nazneen Zadi, she is also a coordinator, and Mr. Ashal Zadi, who is a media lead. So thank you so much to all of you for listening to my lecture. And I think now I will hand over to Ms. Shuanakwi. Okay.
Yes, thank you very much, Professor Banu, for the lovely lecture on stress. And I hope you can, I think the focus should be on you because you've been such a brilliant presenter. So maybe I can do something here with the screen so people can see you. But since you're done with the acknowledgements, we've also come to the end of the session, and I've seen there are a lot of questions that we've received from the audience, and I thank the audience for the questions that you've sent us. So the questions are, I'll take them one on one, and the first question that we've gotten from the audience is overthinking a type of stress, and how do we tackle that, Professor Banu?
Yes, in fact, overthinking is stressable because when you think and think and think again, if that means you are going round and round into that habit, so that is going to affect the whole of your system. So to avoid this, it's better to talk to somebody what stress you are undergoing. Try to indulge in some activity which is pleasurable, which you like it. Either for us, we can listen to Quran or listen to some nice music if you're interested in that, or try to avoid thinking that you just have to pen down what are the stressors which are giving you this problem, and try to talk to somebody who can give you some suggestion. So overthinking, of course, is the biggest problem. So try to avoid that by talking to somebody who can solve this problem.
Thank you so much. Do you think also therapy can help, or maybe going for a walk or a jog can help?
Yes, indeed, of course.
Physical activity of some sort?
Exactly.
To get more into the body and out of the head space into the space of the body. And I think that's also what a lot of therapists also, suggest. So thank you so much. The second question that we have is, does weight gain relates to stress? And that is, of course, a very, very touchy and important topic.
Yes, and it is very relevant. Weight gain, of course, relates to stress because when you are under stress, you don't know what you are eating. Because it is very nice, it has been seen that the persons who are under stress, that they eat a lot. The first thing is that the body tries to seek energy, and the second thing is that you are unmindful of what you eat. So many a times a person keeps on eating and he doesn't realize that's satiety because the hormones are affected, like digestive hormones, they are also affected, like ghrelin and leptin because of the stress. So always the person feels hungry and keeps on eating, which results into obesity and he doesn't realize what he's doing. So
Yes,
it results in
absolutely. I
obesity.
mean,
Yes.
that also I've seen Professor Bano happening to a lot of students
Yes.
during exams. Either sometimes it leads to loss of appetite, and some
Yes.
people
They
move
eat a lot.
towards eating a lot
Yeah.
more than they should, and
Exactly.
that's
Both
both.
anorexia, that means less eating, and obesity. Both of them are related to stress.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. The next question that we have from the audience is does how does stress affect sleeping patterns?
Yeah. There is sleep deprivation. The sleep is lost because the mind is always working. See, many a times when while you are sleeping, you are under stress at the back of the mind. And because of this, it has been seen that all the system, the hormones are still synthesized. Like so, and because of this hormonal synthesis and hormonal disbalance, even it has been seen the people that they undergo duodenal ulcer and peptic ulcer because of the secretion of acid, HCl, hydrochloric acid is synthesized in the stomach. So during sleep also you are under stress, whether you realize it or not. It's the back of the mind. So sleep is affected. Definitely sleep is affected by stress.
Yes, and that is something that we all notice.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. The next question that we have is how to identify chronic stress in the body and can the effects of chronic stress be reversed? I think that is a very relevant question as well because some of us have been through situations. People are sometimes in relationships that can be very stressful and or in jobs that
Yes.
lead to chronic stress and anxiety and depression and all kinds of things which are so pertinent these days in
Yes.
the times that we live in, especially even for the younger generation. I think even teenagers, 20-year-olds, kids in
Yes.
school are suffering from high amounts of stress, leading to so many ailments. So, how does one identify if somebody is under a chronic stress situation and their body is undergoing distress, and how can this be
It
reversed?
can be easily identified by the person's profile. The stress causes the physical changes. Like one can have the body ache, the muscle pain, and back pain, headache, and if it is prolonged, then it may end up into blood pressure, migraine. So all these things, and even it can affect the skin rashes or acne, psoriasis. All these things are affected. So I would like to suggest some people that if you can read a book which is written by Gabor Mate, and that says when the body says no. So I think if you read it, he has explained stress so very nicely, and he has given the situations that how stress can affect and what are the medical terms for that. Or not only that, the life situations which is causing a stress and the consequences of that. Not only skin diseases, but some other diseases also. So if one has time, you can buy this book by Gabor Mate, When the Body Says No. Because the body has to say no if there is something which is coming on it again and again. But if the body can cope, it can fight or it will flight. That means it will allow the stress to seep in and cause impairment in its physiological, psychological functions.
Yes, thank you so much. We've got like about 8 minutes left for the session. We still have a couple of questions. Um, the one question that comes to mind is what I've also seen, and that's my question, is a lot of people also suffer from gastrointestinal problems and they have problems in the GI tract. So, how is stress leading to GI tract problems?
See, the because our gastrointestinal system has dual innervation, that it has both the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. And the acid are synthesized due to the activation of the vagal nerves. During stress, what happens? The stimulation is continued even during sleep. So, what happens in the stomach? The acid pepsin versus the mucus which protects the lining of the stomach,
Right.
is impaired. So, what happens? The person suffers from duodenal ulcer. So, duodenal ulcer is generally seen in the people who are doing white collar job. And peptic ulcer is seen in those people who are doing physical work, like mazdoor or labor work, ye sare. So they are having the peptic ulcer disease. And not only that, this also results into irritable bowel syndrome. That is, one cannot control the bowel movement. So it results in IBS,
IBS,
yeah.
yes,
And
absolutely.
then it can also result in ulcerative colitis. And ulcerative colitis, that means if it is not treated, it remains in the body for the long time, it may result in colon cancer.
Oh my God.
Yes, so it can result in colon cancer. So the treatment of these diseases is very, very important.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that's very pertinent because I remember two of my acquaintances referring to that. That they were in very stressful situations. Both of these ladies, unfortunately, and they were chronic stress conditions, and then they unfortunately also suffered from IBS, and that tends to happen to women especially, and um, then the second question that we have also is, does stress lead to cognitive disorders?
Yes, of course, it leads to cognitive disorders, and it has been seen that if it is prolonged, it causes dementia and loss of memory, Alzheimer's disease, and all these things. Now we can.
Okay. And the final question that we have is, can stress lead to cancer, and what can you do to avoid it? That is the last question from our series today.
See, because to avoid, the first and foremost thing is that people have to have a very strong social acquaintances and the family bond, so that one can talk out all those stress problems easily. And isolation stress is also a very bad stress for people nowadays. So it's better to have social activity, indulge in social activity, talk to persons if you're having any problems. So which will, and say everything will be okay. Positive attitude is important during this.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Professor
So,
Bano, and for your time for this very, very informative lecture. And I also want to acknowledge Dr. Verda Batul, Dr. Humanafi, who's the global chair of IMI Women's Wing. I also want to acknowledge Dr. Nazneen Zaidi, and Mr. Asha Zaidi as well, who's been the media lead for the session today. Mrs. Malika Jafri, who is the chair of the South Asia chapter. Of course, not forgetting Dr. Huma Naqvi, who's also here, and I'm Dr. Naqvi, so it's lovely to have someone with the same surname. And I hand it over to Dr. Varda Batul. Thank you for having us over for this session. Thank you.
thank you.
Oh, well, I am not really sure what to say after learning so much because I think this topic, everybody needed to hear something about it. And the details coming from the esteemed professor, that's something, I mean, I have learned a lot, and I hope our audience must have learned a lot as well. So I would like to extend our deepest thanks to Professor Dr. Nahid Bano and, of course, Dr. Shoa Nakui, which I would also like to mention here is the beautiful daughter of Professor Dr. Nahid Bano, and they make a beautiful team together. And I'm really grateful for both of you for taking out this time and putting all this effort to make our audience more aware regarding such an important topic. A very big thanks to the Sitapur Social Welfare Society and also the StuFit organization and the South Asia chapter. And with that, we would like to conclude today's webinar, and inshallah, we'll meet all our audience soon again with another topic and another panel of wonderful speakers and moderators. Till then, thanks again, Dr. Shwan Naqvi and Professor Dr. Nahid Bano, and would request everyone to take benefit from what we have learned today from these esteemed people. And inshallah, see you again soon. Till then, take care. Allah Hafiz.
Thank you. Thank you. Allah
Thank you.
Hafiz.
Allah
Thank
Hafiz.
you. Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.